Thank you. I was told that we better not go to afternoon tea because the room might not come back to listen to a Labor politician. So I appreciate you moving it up, but I'm now standing in the way of people's cups of tea. So I certainly have that as front and centre in my mind. Look, thank you very much, everybody. I do want to pay my respects to the Aranda people, the lands I'm on here today. But I also am very pleased to be here at the Canamuns 40th Association event. It's something I've heard about over the years in the territory, but actually never being able to come to. It's because of the different industries I was involved in. I was in an agribusiness. I started on with my old man as a 10-pound pom, but I certainly know that I share uh, some of the experiences of families who've grown up on the land, because like those families and those kids, like me growing up on auction sites for a Scottish father, I was free uh, uh, workforce, as were all my brothers. So I do want to start by basically acknowledging David Connolly. And the glowing account he had of our relationship that he has with governments is great. Since I've come into this business, you can understand David's put his arm around me, he's hugged me, he's made me feel really warm and fuzzy, and it's been terrific, David. I thank you for that. Not true. He's been very frank and forthright, and as you can imagine, um, a son of a Scotsman, I glad appreciates that, because I also come from a background where we're very frank and get to the point. Um, it doesn't bother me what people say. What bothers me is in action. And so I do want to thank David, being his last year here. Um, Everybody here owes David a great debt of gratitude for the work that he's done. He was certainly one of the first people I spoke to in the industry, where he welcomed me down to Tipperary Station. Um, it was great to sit there and have a chat with him about the business and the challenges that he faces, as well as the challenges in the cotton industry with his brother Bruce. So I thank him for that. Personally do appreciate the short relationship I've had with him, and I look forward to working going forward with Henry Burke, the new incumbent Cattlemen's president. So really looking forward to that. Um, as I said, I was born in Scotland. I don't have generations of pastoralists in my veins like many of you, um, but through my wife Michelle and her family connections, I am connected through to Kununurra cattle stations and her uncle Rod McComb, who I think was a past president of the NTCA at one point. Um, so I've certainly seen firsthand those stations and the impacts and the challenges running a business like that. Obviously, one of my favourite passions has been horse racing over the years in the territory, and that certainly brought me together with some of the pastoralists who've engaged in taking some of our horses to give them their life after racing. And I noticed when I was out recently at Lake Nash, the reliance the Sexta still has on that relationship to get quality stock coming through. So certainly, I look forward to joining many of you tomorrow at the Guineas down at Alice Springs here. It's certainly something that goes hand in hand with pastoralists and horse racing. Look, we all, whether it's in horse racing or whether it's in pastoralists, we all know the disappointment that can come at times through no fault of our own. You do all the right things, you do all the hard yards, and suddenly the winner doesn't come through. And So hopefully tomorrow we can share in a few winners to put up with some of the challenges that the industry's been facing of late, with particularly some of our weather conditions, which are certainly causing challenges right across the board. But look, I want to talk about the importance of the industry and the importance to our government of the industry. We are building towards a $40 billion economy by 2030, and this sector plays a key role in that. We're building towards $2 billion for the sector, and that requires everybody to let me know what the challenges, what the things are in place that cause you problems in enabling you to make money and to grow that sector. It also looks at the diversity within your pastoralist properties and the opportunities there to whether it's broadacre crops or whatever, to actually diversify some and make more money. I was talking to the ambassador from Indonesia, and certainly one of the most impressive things there is the day that we actually sell cotton to Indonesia for their manufacturing of their clothes and their products. I think it's a massive opportunity for the sector. The Northern Territory Government is committed in its efforts to support the Territory beef industry. The Department of Industry, Tourism and Trade works hard to support and develop the sector through its biosecurity, research, development and extension activities, as well as the broad range of business support services. The department also provides secretarial support for the pastoral industry and advisory committees. And it's not lost on me the importance of the biosecurity in this area. And it wasn't lost on me the first bill that I passed was to do with biosecurity. And I will acknowledge those people later who are at core of developing that, because it's critical that we ensure that we're able to access markets with healthy cattle, and that we don't go back to days where that can be interrupted at times. So the committees are a great way for the industry to have input into the department's research, development and extension programs, and to influence the priorities and directions. So I would encourage you all to engage with the appropriate committee in your region. The livestock industries branch of my department has an extensive research and development program to help increase productivity, profitability, sustainability of the territory pastoral industry. Livestock industries researchers have significant experience in the areas of beef breeder herd productivity, enterprise development, calf mortality, rangeland management, fertility, genetics, nutrition, and supplementation and pasture simulation modelling. They conduct numerous projects in these areas and attract significant external funds to support their research, development and extension projects, and they collaborate with other organisations to leverage funding and information for the benefits of territory producers. The department has 7 research stations located across the territory where research projects are conducted, many of which are in collaboration with commercial properties and more broadly with industry. And it's great that I've been able to visit one of those in Katherine recently, and I'm going to one down here on Monday. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Alice Springs research facility there. The Livestock Industries Group works with industry to build capacity through delivery of training courses, industry events such as field days, and providing support for producers. Livestock Industries rangeland staff provide carrying capacity and advice to property owners on request and produce the Northern Territory Pastoral Feed Outlook Bulletin each quarter. This publication summarises the seasonal outlook and the current estimated standing pasture biomass in each of the 11 pastoral districts of the Territory. It is circulated widely to producers and industry advisors through a free electronic subscription service, and I would encourage you to make use of it and provide feedback on it, because it's something that is there to support you. Land use, we've heard it mentioned a number of times. The land use diversification remains a high priority for all Territorians. Discovering the characteristics of the land, soil types, water availability, climatic parameters, and so on allows for a consideration of the optimal use of our land. We're working hard to design a methodology to allow for safe and responsible land diversification that affords legitimate business opportunities while maintaining environmental integrity. I understand the Territories needs to develop land. We can talk about growing the economy without talking about land development. And my most recent meeting with my federal counterpart, Murray Watt, I made it really clear the point that the Territory is very underdeveloped, and our approach needs to be treated with special consideration when contemplating any national approach to land clearing and development. In particular, we heard it with a previous talk when it comes to the EU and the new laws they are currently considering regarding their due diligence statement in relation to deforested land. I've told them that less than 1% of land is cleared in the territory, and in order for us to grow our economy, we need to clear more land. And so we need to have a very special consideration whenever they go to that diligence statement that goes globally to ensure that the Northern Territory is that special case that we're not like New South Wales, we're not like Victoria, where land has been cleared for generations after generations. Here we have limited land cleared, and we need more if we're going to grow our economy. So the agribusiness development team with their departmental staff and the government established is currently facilitating several agricultural projects across the territory. These include the AAM Investment Group in conjunction with the Northern Territory Land Corporation to deliver the Ord River irrigation expansion in the territory, formerly known as the Keep Plains Agricultural Development. The team is working with developers with Larrimah Agricultural Precinct, Larrimah Farms, to secure the remaining approvals. The land release will see in its final first stages around 300 hectares of melons and 500 hectares of broadacre cropping. The team is working with the NT Land Corporation and a potential developer to develop the Wildman Agricultural Precinct. The agribusiness precinct team is also driving key agricultural projects, including the Gunpoint Emerging Agribusiness Precinct, a pilot project of 260 hectares of land at Gunpoint Peninsula. The precinct is being developed for the purpose of crop trialling and innovative farming and irrigation techniques. The project will explore the commercial viability of emerging agricultural opportunities that can be rolled out to a broader scale in the territory, because we want to test these processes before they go to scale on farms to ensure that you're supported in taking the risk to diversify your crop. The Agribusiness Precincts team and Cooperative Research Centre for Developing Northern Australia have also jointly invested in de-risking the NT through sustainable development projects. This project seeks to improve planning and assessment practice for sustainable development precincts. As part of this work, the team has continued working with the NT Cattlemen's Association to identify opportunities for the diversification of pastoral properties throughout the territory. One of the stepping stones to the 2030 economic growth target is the implementation of the agribusiness strategy. Through this strategy, we are ensuring beef cattle operations maximise the value of their product while maintaining the quality of the territory's natural environment. It's a challenge we're working on hand in hand, and I thank you and the industry for the direction and focus that you're providing to our Northern Territory government departments. Aligning with the agribusiness strategy and also a key Territory Economic Reconstruction Commission report recommendation, my department, in consultation with industry, undertook an assessment of value-add opportunities across the agribusiness. The report was delivered last year, identifying 52 distinct value-add opportunities to support growth of the agribusiness sector. Project activities to support implementation have now commenced, with the team working to deliver on these initiatives imminently. With an overall goal of doubling the gross value of production for the agribusiness sector by 2030, we will all be pulling together to develop new land and new markets, strengthen our biosecurity systems and performance, and partnering with investors and Aboriginal Territorians. The management of buffel grass. It is an area that I've learned a lot about in the last 5 months. And thank to you and to the industry who've actually given me first-hand experience of you and you managing on your pastoral lands. The management of buffel grass demands an approach that balances ecological restoration with economic considerations. Any measures carefully considered to avoid unintended consequences, such as exacerbating soil erosion or disrupting land management practices. As a Minister for Agribusiness, protecting the pastoralists I represent is front of my mind. In my short time in this role, I've built strong relationships with many of you, and this issue has also become very personal to me. Rest assured, I've put forward the positions that people in this room have shared with me. The declaring of buffer grass necessitates any robust stakeholder engagement and collaboration. I commend the work that my environmental minister is doing, but I also commend her for listening to the conversations that I've had with her at times to ensure that the NTCA has had their voice heard very clearly. I actually commend her for creating a buffel grass advisory committee, which I understand the NTC is core and has been invited to have their say and lead some of that discussion. She's acutely aware of the concerns around the declarations and the flow-on effects it could have to pastoralists. That's why we need you around that table leading the conversation. I know she's listening. The value of face-to-face meetings is critical, though. We need you to be around the table with your voice being heard loudly. My hope is that the stakeholder inclusion in any decision making around buffel will see pastoralist interests put towards the front of that decision making process. I can assure you that pastoralists will not be blindsided by any decision that's made. And through the NTCA, will have input into any management strategies that ever come up. It's important that the practical benefit of buffel as an important feed, property value addition, is not lost in this debate. It's certainly what I've heard loud and clear about this grass. And I've certainly passed it on loud and clear from you to my colleagues. Speaking of biosecurity, I'm aware of the emergency animal disease threats in our regions to our north. Biosecurity systems are critical to protect our cattle industry and support the market access we have with our key trading partners, such as Indonesia. Only this week, I announced we're about 50% complete on a new biosecurity facility at Berrima, which will actually provide researchers and scientists the opportunity to ensure that level 3 biosecurity threats are able to be responded to and planned for in a timely manner. Now, level 3 are those sort of biosecurity threats that are things like airborne threats. So I'm really pleased that we've committed $15 million, and that facility, if it ever stops raining in Darwin, should be built and finished quite soon. But I'd like to thank the industry for the expedient and diligent way it's worked with my departmental staff through difficult times last year, in particular with disruptions in the trade of live cattle to Indonesia. The Northern Territory was the first jurisdiction to complete all its testing, and the industry played a large part in cooperating with government to get this job done. And I want to recognise the work that David Connolly did in that space. His advocacy, his important knowledge provided certainly really important feedback into that process. I continue to make representations to my counterpart, my federal colleague, Murray Watt, on issues of importance to the industry, including discussions to bring a resolution to the burdensome rejection rates of skin lesions of live cattle at export market. I've conveyed my support for a quick resolution to also the long-running debate and Commonwealth class action. I want it resolved quickly. I told him as early as last week, so that people can get on with their lives and people can get on with breeding their cattle and sending them to export, and we can get on as a territory in making money so that we can build to that $2 billion future. Our relationship with Indonesia continues to be highly important and goes from strength to strength. We heard earlier today about the importance that beef will be to them. There are growing middle classes. The demand. I was also told by the ambassador this morning that for the first time, um, we have surpassed as Australians in their tourism trade the New Zealanders, which is great because that means they're eating our cattle, our beef, not the New Zealand beef. So it's really important how all these sectors are interconnected. Sometimes we don't think of the ramifications of it down the way. So that is really important. I can also assure you that we're doing everything we can to support the Indonesians to battle their foot and mouth and lumpy skin disease. In addition, the conjunction with the federal government, we've established a sentinel herd in Timor-Leste, which allows us to have an early warning system for any threats that might be posed to the industry here. A biosecurity exchange program from the Gajah Mada University that we saw the participants up here earlier, modelled on the long-running and very successful NT Cattlemen's Association Pastoral Exchange Program and led by a wonderful industry. A further 4 students are currently here in the Territory, and I met with them about 6 or 8 days ago. And it's amazing the support they're getting from the Cattlemen's Association when they brought them in, and their impact is, when we talk about soft diplomacy in the area, it can't be understated. There are people who are turned on to this, who are learning about the industry from the Territory, and who will grow up leading that industry and reflecting the values and the concerns of Australians and the Australian industry, the NT cattle industry. So it's something that's extremely important. And they're currently working with our teams at the laboratories at the Berrima Farm and our research stations, and with industry on some of our iconic pastoral leases. A special welcome also to our Indonesian students, and we hope you stay in the Territory to provide you with some really valuable insights. I also wanted to thank the federal government for the $2 million in funding for establishing the Northern Australian Coordination Network of Livestock Biosecurity, which commenced in the middle of 2023. I'm pleased to report that funding has been provided to the NT Cattlemen's Association for resources to focus on industry biosecurity management plans, other training and preparedness and activities that help make our industry more resilient. The network is coordinating our emergency animal disease surveillance and preparedness work right across the Northern Territory and linking with Western Australia and Queensland, who've been provided with similar funding arrangements. And that biosecurity, through those biosecurity management plans, can't be understated, the importance of it. Legislation, my first piece of legislation last week actually went to the heart of that. I do not want people to be just wandering onto your properties and engaging with your livestock or your agriculture, and posing a significant threat not just to your immediate property and income, but the long-term property when they bring with them that biosecurity threat. So we have ensured that we have significantly increased the penalties for that. We've moved up to aggravated aspects of that, which means that some of the stuff that we saw recently with people breaking into primary producers and taking footage is now carrying a significant penalty in the Territory. So I certainly value the work that went into with my department ensuring that got through this week. I also want to finally, on the biosecurity front and the livestock and other legislation bill that I talk about, I know that there was consultation meetings with the NTCA branches, and we have to say, and that we thank you for your submissions in that Have Your Say campaign. But essentially, these changes will help strengthen that. They also help strengthen the powers of our Chief Veterinary Officer, our Chief Inspector, to ensure that he has some emergency powers should he believe there is any significant imminent biosecurity threat. The powers that he will have in response, particularly with feral animal culling on third-party land, which is really important as well. The legislation is proposed to commence in April once it gets the royal assent by the Administrator. I also like to thank the hardworking members of my department who worked hard to deliver that legislation with me. Some of who are here today. I see Lorraine's down there. I see Jed was here earlier. Rob's there. Peter, the diligent work that they put into, I appreciate it. It was such important legislation for us to ensure that the primary producers can get on and do what they do, and that's produce without external interference. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know our beef industry is the key economic driver, not just for the Northern Territory. I'm certainly one of the biggest supporters of the beef industry. Kale, what is that? I burn extra calories gagging on kale. My family look at me and know that I only eat meat and beef and other animal products. And so, as far as other agriculture that we might grow, let's not go to kale. Let's forget that's not actually something worth looking at. But let's just focus on delivering onto my plate some of the best beef in the world, because this billion-dollar industry manages just under half of the territory's landmass and more than 2 million head of cattle, providing diverse employment opportunities in rural, regional, and remote areas. This is a significant contribution made by a fraction of our population, scattered over a massive area. That is something you should all be extremely proud of. And as Minister for Agribusiness, I will continue to do everything I possibly can to work with you to springboard more infrastructure, more investment projects, improve trade opportunities, employment and innovation in the sector to allow you to grow, diversify, and allow you to bring more revenue into the Northern Territory. We want to see this industry continue to thrive to meet its full potential, continue to create jobs for Territorians, and remain one of the best places in the world for production of agricultural commodities. I thank the Cattlemen's Association's leadership for their ongoing vision and strengthening and advancing the cattle industry. I look forward to making the most of those opportunities ahead. I also want to shout out to Will and your team. You've been so generous with your time with me as the new minister. It's much appreciated. Um, and and as Dave only said to me this morning, as he was giving me a hug, he said, whatever Will's saying, he talks for the whole industry. There is no bigger compliment, I reckon, Will. So thank you for what you do. I also appreciate some of the people who have taken time to show me the true hospitality of pastoralists over the recent weeks when I've had the opportunity to visit them. I would suggest I'm probably the first ever ag minister to visit Lake Nash Station. And I want to shout out to Erin and Natalie Gibson for the hospitality they showed me. And the narrative they told me about 50,000 Wagyu head is extraordinary here in the Northern Territory. So beautiful station, beautiful place, and beautiful people running it. Also, a shout out to Ben and Nicole Hayes, Undula Station, who we spent a fair bit of time very early in the morning at one point because I was heading out to the airport, but I wanted to hear their views again on Buffalo. And seeing such a historical, beautiful station is just the gift I'll take with me for a long time. And finally, secondly, to Bruce and Dave Connolly. I've had a bit of a joke about with Dave in my commentary today, but Dave is an amazing guy, and Bruce is just as amazing. What he's taught me about the cotton industry in the last 3 months just blows me away. I say to him that I'm like an expectant parent at the moment, and unfortunately, every time I look out the window and see that it's still raining, it sort of makes me get a little sadder and sadder with the industry because I can't wait to have those crops cropped and the cotton going off to Indonesia. I can't wait for the byproduct to be fed to the cattle to grow our cattle. And it's important that we actually celebrate some of those new industries coming on board. Um, and the one thing that hit home to me is that here we have a crop that's actually keeping down the spread of gamba into a neighbouring Litchfield Park. Um, I never knew that story, but I think it's a really important story because it goes to the heart of farmers that care about the environment, pastoralists that care about the environment. Um, and I think it's a story that probably we all know in here, but we need to spread it much wider into the community to ensure that everybody understands the value of this industry, whether it's protecting our environments or whether it's delivering an economic future for the Territorians. Also, the last one I want to a quick shout out to is to Viv Oldfield for his generosity in sitting down with me um, and marking out on a napkin just the economic impact of our conversations around buffel and any process they might think about managing that going forward. That was very enlightening. Before I finish, I just want to say happy birthday, NTCA, 40th anniversary. Fantastic achievement. Keep doing what you're doing. And please, I look forward to continuing conversations. I'm not scared of robust conversations. I'm not scared of standing up and backing the industry because I value what you do. I value what you do for your regions. I value what you do for the territory, and I value what you do for our economic future. So thank you very much for inviting me to talk today.